Thanks for staying with us. So we just finished talking about what happened in Imo State and Rivers State, and that is bad. Now there's another issue that is happening and is important for us to also discuss. And this would affect a lot of people who are in the used car business. Now, the conversation is about the Nigerian Customs Service, NCS, who recently introduced a 15% National Automobile Commission. It's a commission levy used for imported vehicles. But this did not go down well with the clearing agents in the country's maritime sector, and they're planning to go on a strike, which actually has been cancelled. It was supposed to be for today, this morning, but I think it has been put off for now. Joining us are two guests to discuss this. First is Mr. Rilwan Amuni, who is the Task Force Chairman, Association of Nigerian Licensed Customs Agents, ANLCA.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
Sir. We also have a representative of the Customs Service, the National Public Relations Officer, Mr. Timi Bomodi, is on the phone with us. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having me.
Good to have you. Let's start with you, Mr. Bomodi, because you work with the Customs Service, and you're the one, it's your agent that has imposed this 15% levy on this used automobile vehicles. Why was this levy important at this time? And are there talks to reconsider a reduction?
Thank you. First of all, we have to go back to what's the actual duty for vehicles, both used and new vehicles, were prior to the current CET. Before now, used vehicles used to pay 35% duty, and new vehicles paid 35% duty and 5% levy. That was what was obtainable before the current CET, which came into effect on the 1st of January 2022. So now, with the coming into effect of the new CET, we have adopted the ECOWAS tariff rate of duty for vehicles, and in our case, we have imposed an import adjustment tax of 15%. The current duty is 20%, and we have an import adjustment tax of 15%. For used vehicles, and for new vehicles, it's still the same 20% rate of duty, but we have a levy, which you rightly refer to as the National Automotive Council levy of 20%. So if you look at it critically, what you have or what you find is that even though there are differences in rate of duty, you take it as a whole, as a totality, it's basically the same. By the time you add 20% duty rate and 15% levy, it's still the same as what was obtainable previously for used vehicles. And for new vehicles, 20% rate of duty and 20% levy is still about what was obtainable as opposed to, the previous regime where you had 35% rate of duty and 5% levy. Okay, so there has not been any increase as insinuated by certain individuals.
Okay, let's hear his own thoughts. So I'll come to Mr. Rilwan Amuni, because he's the task force chairman on this. What is your grouse so far with because based on what he's saying, it's more of a reduction, if you ask me, 35 to 5%. So what? I
understand you. Our major grouse is that the National Automotive Council Act was passed in 2014, Section 6, 2014. And the Act specifically says there will be a payment of a cost, insurance, and freight on goods, vehicles, by 2%. Okay. For new vehicles and new auto parts. That is the clarity of the Act. It never says anything about used vehicles. Okay. You get my point, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
It never says anything about used vehicles. Check the act.
Yes.
2014.
Okay.
You get my point? So, there about 2014 to 2018, there was a column that they were paying 2% NAC.
Okay.
Mostly on new vehicles and auto parts. You get my point? Fast forward to now. Even what the PRO is saying, when the committee was told us, he told us customs have retained a 20% duty on used vehicles as transmitted by ECOWAS with 15% NAC levy. This was implemented, they started implementation on April 1st, which we commend them for, because April 1st mostly is the calendar year.
Okay.
Because they have to brief us quarterly.
Okay.
So this April 1st, they only implemented the 20%. That is from 35% to 20%. They didn't issue us any statement about it. Even our agents were skeptical when we resumed on Monday, because that on the night was Saturday. When we resumed on Monday, have these people made mistake?
Okay.
For more than 2-3 days, we have to start liaising with the officers. Later, we now go to know that it was transmitted by ECOWAS, and even that 20% on some HS codes for some type vehicles, I can quote it for you, have been existing for a long time. And Nigerian government have been collecting 35% from us.
Instead of 20.
You get my point?
Okay. So I'm a bit confused. So is this an addition to this 20% that they had been collecting
No,
now?
what I'm saying, they are not even supposed to have been collecting 35%
for a very long time.
Time. It should have been 20%, as determined by ECOWAS states.
So what I'm asking now is, this 15 that they've added, is it an addition?
It's an addition
so
now.
Making it 35
You
still.
get my point. They were not too happy. Because April 1st, they were not too happy that, it's likely to somebody that has been living large. And at a stage, the thought of income tax, you will always look for a way to go to that.
Okay, let's come back to the...
You get my point?
Yeah, so, your response really brings me to the question I was going to ask him, which is, from what you've explained, and I hope you're listening, is... The PRO is listening, is that what I understand is this levy is supposed to be on new cars.
New cars.
And not on used cars.
Yes.
So why do we have that now? And how does this reflect with the 20% that's already been taken? Are they misunderstanding it and thinking that it's an addition to the 20 that used to be taken, making it 35? Or that 20 has been taken away and now it's just the 15 that they are being charged?
Okay.
PRO, are you there? Did you get that question?
Yeah, I got what you said. I think there's a misreading of the ECOWAS Common External Tariff and the basis of implementation as it concerns regional administrations and even, customs, National Customs Administration. Something is clear, something should be made clear, and it is that, Nigeria enjoys most favored nation status. And with that status, we are given the right, or we're allowed to make certain adjustments on certain tariff lines. The CET allows for that. And in this case, what is also allowable is the fact that when there's going to be an import adjustment tax, what can be done is that we can take the maximum, that is the difference between what was obtainable prior to this time and what is available in the Common External Tariff presently. What was obtainable was 35%, and what is presently obtainable in the CET is 20%. And Nigeria can use that margin as an import adjustment tax. I think we are missing the bigger picture here, and the reason why these levies are imposed, whether on used vehicles or new vehicles, we should remember that the Nigerian Customs Service is only implementing the policies of the federal government. And policies are made, on the basis of national consideration. What are these policies supposed to achieve? And when we look at the National Automotive Council levy, it is supposed to be used to benefit the activities of bona fide manufacturers and assemblers of vehicles, manufacturers of auto parts in Nigeria. This is what this policy is designed for. So for us to continue to talk about whether it is 20% in ECOWAS and Nigeria is adding a levy, I think we missed the point.
Right.
Indeed, we have every right as a region. As a region, we have every right to impose an import adjustment tax, which you call a levy in this case. And we are going by the requirements of ECOWAS, which says that we can apply the difference between the maximum of what was, that is what was obtainable and what is obtainable now. That difference can be applied as an import adjustment tax.
Okay, let me get a few more questions in for you.
Yes, sir. So your explanation now sounds like robbing Peter to pay Paul. So you take from the clearing agents, yes, and then you use it to support the manufacturers. So is there like a clear plan to avoid people from bringing in used cars so that we can manufacture here? And is that what you're looking to do with this levy, so as to discourage these people from bringing in used cars and manufacture here?
Encourage manufacturing.
We, I don't think the phrase you use, robbing Peter to pay Paul, is accurate in this situation. I mean, look at the purpose of that levy. We're talking about growing local industries. We're talking about creating jobs, job opportunities for Nigerians. We are talking about the transfer of technology. We are talking about increase in per capita income, all focused on developing our industry, creating more jobs for our people. Yeah. We have companies like Innocent, we have other assemblers, and all these persons, or all these companies are engaged in local production. We should remember that we have an issue with when you have an import-dependent society, you always have an issue with your currency, because you have basically all the currency you have, pursuing foreign goods. And at the end of the day, we have exchange rate problems. And it is not particularly good, for the country.
Right.
We have created, or the federal government in its wisdom, through the Ministry of Finance, have created this policy to aid the local manufacturing, both of vehicles and spare parts. Right. And I think it's a laudable policy.
Mr. PRO, let me
it's not a question of robbing Peter to pay people.
Mr. Bomodi, let me. Usually, there's something called stakeholders engagement or stakeholders management. Was there a meeting with all the various stakeholders to explain to them, give them clarity on this, and even give them a time frame to say, okay, we're going to increase this thing between now and then. This is why you start preparing for this increase. Was there any stakeholders management or engagement on this matter?
Nothing like that.
As your guest there pointed out, this CT was supposed to have come into effect on the 1st of January 2022, but a period of 3 months was given to allow for adjustments. I mean, some of the adjustments that seen. Indeed, there has not been an increase. If you look at, as I pointed out earlier, there has not been an increase in the overall duty components for vehicles. There have just been adjustments to reflect the reality in ECOWAS and our local realities in Nigeria. And so when there's no increase, there's really nothing new that we have to, tell people, just to tell them that, look, with the new CET, these are the procedures. this is where, like we also introduced 2 new chapters in the Common External Tariff, Chapter 98 and Chapter 99. And this is in accordance with WCO provisions, which allows for local customs administrations to apply these tariff headings as is necessary, and we apply this in this case to reflect the adjusted taxes for bona fide assemblers and manufacturers of vehicles, and then for other government concessions on other tariff items. Now, the emphasis is so much on vehicles, but people are not talking about all the other concessions that the government has granted other manufacturers. And it is very, very important because, again, the emphasis is on growing the local industry.
Right. Let me go on a quick break, sir.
In some cases, even in...
I have to go on a break, unfortunately. Let me go on a break. When I come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So in the studio, we still have Mr. Rilwan Amuni, who is the task force chairman for Association of Nigerian Licensed Customs Agents. Now, let me come to you, sir. Based on what the PRO has said, nothing has really changed. You used to pay 35%. Now, all it's not like nomenclature change. So now you're paying the 15% and you're not paying the 20%. That's what he's saying, that there was no need for any extra conversation on this.
No. First and foremost, there is serious increment. Because even the actual costs that they are giving us, that they are using to calculate their values for us, is on the high side. You get my point? Take, for instance, I had a vehicle of recent I cleared. It's a Toyota Sequoia for 2019. I bought it for $21,000. It was on the net. When I took it to customs, customs refused. They said the value is $69,000. I said, you didn't buy it for me. I bought it myself. Why should you be telling me $69,000? It's there. I bought the receipt. They now said, okay, they will reduce 30%. I paid on $47,000.
Wow.
You get my point?
Wow.
So, for him saying there is no increment, there is increment.
So,
because on
that valuation then levies on top of that valuation?
It was not levied then. It was on 35% I paid then.
Okay.
So even the logbook they are using as a yardstick to calculate is on the very high side.
So that's a different issue now.
You get my point? Yes. So that's what I'm telling him. That they haven't increased it. It has increased beyond what we are thinking. And moreover now, why should we be having two conflicting laws? The NAC itself at 2%, and the 15%, the NAC at 15%. Let them tell us because the actual law, the provision of law says it is on new vehicles.
Okay, so
why are you not telling us 15% NAC on used vehicle and new vehicles?
Yeah, I'd like you to respond to that.
And it's on the high side.
15%.
They did not carry anybody along. Even the House of
First of all,
leader, who is supposed to know about this through the Ministry of Finance, they was never carried along. So we felt they are just doing things at their own peril. I don't know.
Yeah, would you like to respond to that, please?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to say that the issue of value for vehicles has been dealt with robustly. We've had 2 stakeholder engagements. First, when VIN valuation was introduced. VIN valuation, by the way, is an automated process of arriving at values for vehicles for the purposes of collecting appropriate customs duty. When it was first introduced, there was a lot of outcry from stakeholders, and management thought it fit to send its members to go and listen to what this outcry was about. We had that meeting, came back to headquarters, and it was suggested that a 30-day or a month's moratorium be placed on the VIN valuation protocol, following which reviews were, undertaken And then just last week, or just over a week, let me say about a week ago, agents, stakeholders were called back to look at what the service, arrived at. To be clear, for used vehicles, there is a standard operating procedure for arriving at values. And we use the depreciated value calculated at a fixed rate of 10% annually. And that has been the standard operating procedure. But now what we are doing is that we are removing the manual interface, the human contact, and we are assigning that to the machine to give us objective values. These agents were brought to customs headquarters, and I'm talking about agents from all the associations, the one that he belongs to, which is ANACA, NAGAF, and even the Auto Traders Association. They were all brought to customs headquarters, and we reviewed all the data together. And the conclusion at the end of the day was that we had done justice to the issue of value for vehicles. And it's going to be, we've made a lot of progress. And in the field, they are beginning to experience that. I don't know about the particular case that he referred to, but we also know that when people want to evade the payment of appropriate duties, they start playing with their declarations in terms of not being, open and transparent. You can take a vehicle that is maybe 2021 and they say that it is 2015. They do that, but the VIN valuation takes care of that. But that is a totally different thing from what we are talking about presently. So what we are talking about presently...
Let me come back to...
Okay, so Mr. Ruwan, I just want to... I don't know if you understand what he just said. Because I'm hearing that with the introduction of, let's say, the automated valuation they can look at your car and without any interference from anybody, they can determine definitely the year of your car and how much it costs. Is that how it's happening right now?
No, they have not started implementing that because when they started initially, the standard operating principle is that a used vehicle depreciates 10% yearly. You cannot buy a Corolla now. You not buy it. Even if you drive it to Ketu, you bring it back. You can't sell it that same amount. When they implemented it, it was like a test run in Grimadi. They did not take into cognizance the depreciating value. They just went to put what is in their own logbook that they say is maybe Victoria's factory price. This is 2015 when it was a new vehicle. This is the amount. That is what they just put.
But that has been resolved now.
That's been resolved.
That is what we are resolving.
So
they have not started.
It has been resolved, not what is being resolved.
We are still resolving.
It has been resolved.
They have not concluded. Our people are still coming again. They told us they are still going for final.
It has been resolved, and we have the proof
it has not been concluded because the values that you want to input is still high. They have to look at the values.
So the problem now is the machine, obviously, the valuation process. Because you're saying, so I want to be sure we are very clear. 35% you've been paying before. They are saying that there's no increase. But your real problem is that...
There is no basis for 15% NAC. Additional. It is illegal.
But you're paying 35% before.
They have not changed the name.
Hello, ma. You see what he's saying when you say you are migrating from... That's the World Customs Organization. World Customs Organization law of what to say every 5 years. So I'm migrating from 2017 to 2021. You have migrated now to 2022 to 2027. For Christ's sake, it is called harmonized system code, which is the HS code. And mostly, when you are even migrating, it is just to review items that are no longer in use. And reduction. I don't know whether you understand me. And reduction in most of the rates. That is what ECOWAS did. You see, they need that 5% is too much. They did a 20. But these people, if they have even called it another name, maybe it would have gone well with us. I don't know whether you understand me. But they knew, actually, if they have... because it should have been concurrent. According to him, when they put 20, they should have immediately put 15% NAC. They didn't put it, man. They put it on the first 20%. After 1 week, I was telling my people, these people are not Father Christmas. They will give us problem. They didn't see any nomenclature to give. On Saturday, when we just woke up, we just saw 15% NAC. You get my point now? Why was it not concurrent?
So you did not see transparency?
There is no transparency there. It is illegal.
Okay, so I'd like the PRO to respond. Okay, sir. Because you've cancelled the strike.
Okay, does it mean something that cannot go down in Nigeria? People are suffering.
Mr. PRO, let me let you respond to that.
Yes, I'd like to inform your audience and also Mr. Rilwan that there are accompanying measures under the CET. And these accompanying measures are like 4 of them. And they are designed in order to counter any trade practice that has the potential to harm the ECOWAS common market. One of the measures has to do with safeguards. That is application of members in the entire community as a single territory. And then another one has to do with anti-dumping measures. The other one has to do with anti-subsidy and countervailing measures. And then the last one has to do with supplementary protection measures. And under supplementary protection measures, you have import adjustment tax and supplementary protection tax. The levies come under import adjustment tax. And these levies, as I said, is allowable within the ECOWAS CET. So you should look at the guidelines and regulations. And member nations are given that privilege to make these adjustments. A window is created because we have a duty to protect local industries. Not all countries within ECOWAS have the same fiscal or trade policies as Nigeria. If they choose not to protect their local industries, that is their business. We cannot, because other countries are not attaching supplementary tax.
Right. And assume that...
Hello, sir. I can't hear you again. Okay. Okay, I can hear you. Go ahead. Let me let you wrap up.
Because other countries are not attaching these levies to their own imports does not mean that Nigeria should not do the same thing. The needs of individual countries differ. And that is why we are saying that going by the countries, Nigeria's fiscal policy.
Right. This is needed for it.
Okay, I have to wrap up there, but thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have to stop the conversation, but I know he's more concerned of the macroeconomics of this. But let me just let you wrap up. What's your final request?
What do you want?
My request is that I want to appeal. Let Nigerian elites know that this government is not creating employment. And most of us in the port, we have created employment for ourselves. I wonder a government that cannot create an employment, letting other people that have created employment for themselves to be lost. For crying out loud, there's a lot of people making a living from this importation of vehicles. All these things they are just telling us is just to gag us because they needed revenue.
We have to wrap up. Unfortunately, that's what we can do. But I think
the problem.
There are 2 arguments here. There is you want to develop the economy, you want to develop manufacturing. So you have built a business because Nigeria have not been able to produce cars. But they're now saying, listen, we need to redirect that. So maybe they need to engage you in this conversation. How can you get involved? So how do we get you in the manufacturing? Because you can't continue. So there has to be a proper conversation. Unfortunately, that's all we can take on this segment.